Preparing for interviews can be super stressful, and if you got an interview coming up, or if you just want to learn how to be more prepared, this video is for you. You're gonna learn 3 ways on how Deepseek can help prep you for an interview. In the end of the video, I'm gonna be sharing with you some of my interview tips that I've learned based on my mistakes. And I've made quite a lot of mistakes, so I got a bit to share with you guys. Anyways, with that being said, let's get right into it. Whenever I want to get a long response out of Deepseek, I usually do something called persona prompting. This is where you give the LLM a certain role or persona. That way, Deepseek gives you more specific answers because you're giving it more context. So this is actually something I did a few days ago, right before my interview. I said, you have applied to a job related to data and accounting and are preparing for an interview. What kind of questions would you prepare for? For more information, here's the description for the job that you've applied for. And I'm gonna paste in the job description and separate it by triple quotes as the delimiter. And when I click enter, Deepseek is going to think about it, and then it's going to give us a result. And you can see that it's giving us a list of technical and behavioral questions. And this is really useful, but the problem is, what if you don't know how to actually answer the questions that Deepseek is recommending you? That's what the next step is for. The cool thing about Deepseek is that it lets you attach a file onto a message. I talked about this in another video. You can check that out over here somewhere. But for this video, here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna say, you've applied with this resume that's attached in the message. What answers would you give based on this resume? Please structure each answer in the star format. This is gonna give you answers based on your own experiences on the resume. So the response that you get from Deepseek is gonna be really tailored to you. And it's nice how Deepseek breaks down each answer that you have into situation, task, action, and result. Because you should know how to apply each experience that you have into the STAR method before you walk into an interview. Obviously, don't read this and memorize it word for word, because if you go to an interview and just regurgitate whatever you say, whatever you memorize off the top of your head, then the interview is gonna know, and that's not a good thing. I'm gonna talk more about this problem later in the end of the video. But for now, these 2 steps alone are gonna get you pretty far. But if you want to take it a step further, then here's what you gotta do. You're gonna ask it, you still want to gain more skills before the interview to feel more prepared. Based on this conversation, what skills would you learn before the interview to maximize your chances of landing the job? And the reason why you're asking this is because you want to know what skills you're missing. Chances are, when you're applying to a job, the job doesn't have all the skills that you have. And so you want to make sure that you check the most boxes that you can so that you can maximize the chances that you get that job. So Deepseek's gonna give you a response that shows you a list of skills that can be broken down to technical and soft skills, and it also gives you other information that can be helpful too. All right, those are my 3 steps, and I hope you found them helpful, and I hope they give you more confidence the next time you walk into an interview. If you're still watching this, I want to say thank you, because I know that you're a loyal subscriber watching all the way to the end. And so because of that, I'm gonna share with you some of what I learned, some interview tips based on my mistakes. The first one is to not memorize everything. And this is because I remember when I was preparing for my first major interview, I had a whole document, and I had the question, it was like, what are the challenges you had? What were strengths and weaknesses? And below each question, I wrote down a whole paragraph. I was trying to read it out loud 10 times, and right before the interview I kept on reading out loud. And once the interview did actually ask it, I said it, but it sounded so fake. I could tell that the interviewer knew that I was reading off some script, or I memorized some script, and that's not a good look on you. So what you got to do is you have to come up with 3 to 5 stories that you could talk about for hours. Some topic. I know there's something about you that you really love to talk about. That thing that you can talk about for hours, you should definitely mention it in the interview. Obviously, don't talk about it for hours, but just answer it in a super concise way, and you're pretty much set if you do that. And another tip is you have to match the vibe of the interviewer, if that makes any sense. Because if the interviewer seems to be more energetic, more outgoing, then it'd be okay to, slip in a few jokes, because, you want to keep the interview, or it depends on the interviewer, but you don't want the interviewer to be too serious. You just want to make sure that the interviewer sees you as someone that they would want to work with. So if it's a more serious interviewer, then maybe dropping in a joke wouldn't be the best idea, because they wouldn't find that funny compared to someone else. And you want to make sure that the interviewer thinks that you are someone that they would want to be around with. And throughout the whole interview, they're probably thinking in their heads, would I want to work with this person? Hopefully you found these extra tips helpful. Let me know in the comments if you got anything else to say. And with that being said, that's all for this video. Hope you guys have a great day.